In 1974, a father poisoned his own child for just $20,000. Ronald Clark O'Bryan orchestrated a chilling plot during Halloween, giving his son, Timothy, a cyanide-laced candy. This tragic event led to Timothy's immediate death at just 8 years old, shocking the community and the nation. O'Bryan had hoped to claim life insurance money. After a gripping trial, he was convicted and sentenced to death in 1975. The case sparked widespread fear and change in Halloween traditions, with parents now more vigilant about candy safety. To this day, O'Bryan's actions remain a haunting reminder of betrayal and loss wrapped in a festive night. The story of Ronald Clark O'Bryan is a descent into the darkest corners of the human soul. It is a tale that reveals the terrifying lengths to which a person can go when driven by greed and desperation. O'Bryan, an optician struggling financially, found himself drowning in debt. The pressure of unpaid bills and the looming threat of financial ruin pushed him to the brink. In his twisted mind, he saw a way out, a way to turn his misfortune into a macabre opportunity. He took out life insurance policies on his son Timothy and daughter Elizabeth with the intention of cashing in on their untimely deaths. The cold calculation behind this act is chilling, a stark reminder of the darkness that can reside within the human heart. His motive was chillingly simple: murder for profit. The idea of profiting from the death of one's own children is a concept so abhorrent that it defies comprehension. Yet for O'Bryan, it became a grim reality. Halloween, with its bounty of candy, became his weapon of choice. The festive night, filled with innocent joy and laughter, was twisted into a night of horror by O'Bryan's sinister plan. O'Bryan purchased cyanide, a deadly poison, and tampered with pixie sticks, a popular Halloween candy. The very thought of using something as innocent as candy to carry out such a heinous act is deeply disturbing. He carefully filled the straws with the poisonous powder, sealing them back up to appear untouched. The meticulous nature of his preparations shows a level of premeditation that is truly terrifying. His plan was meticulously crafted, a macabre parody of a father's love, twisted into something monstrous. It serves as a grim reminder of how far a person can fall when consumed by greed and desperation. On Halloween night, O'Bryan took his children, Timothy and Elizabeth, and their neighbors' children trick-or-treating in their Pasadena, Texas neighborhood. The streets were filled with the joyous sounds of children laughing and the rustling of candy wrappers. The night was alive with laughter and excitement, but for O'Bryan it was a macabre stage for his horrifying act. He had a sinister plan that would turn this festive night into a nightmare. As they went door to door, O'Bryan slipped the poisoned pixie sticks into Timothy's bag, a deadly gift disguised as a treat. The children, unaware of the danger, continued their trick-or-treating, their bags growing heavier with each house they visited. The pixie sticks, laced with cyanide, was a weapon masked in sweetness. O'Bryan's heart pounded with anticipation, knowing the horror that would soon unfold. Upon returning home, Timothy, eager to indulge in his sweet loot, reached for the poisoned pixie sticks. His eyes lit up with excitement as he tore open the package, unaware of the deadly contents inside. He poured the powder onto his tongue, the cyanide instantly attacking his system. The sweet taste of candy turned into a bitter agony as the poison took hold. The joy of Halloween quickly turned into a scene of horror. Timothy's face contorted in pain, his body writhing as the poison spread through his system. Timothy cried out in pain, his screams piercing the night. The once festive atmosphere was now filled with panic and fear. His little body succumbed to the poison's effects. The tragic end of a night that began with so much joy left a haunting memory for all who witnessed it. The community was devastated. The once lively streets were now shrouded in an eerie silence, as if the very soul of the town had been ripped away. Families huddled together, seeking comfort in each other's presence, but finding little solace in the face of such a profound loss. News of Timothy's death spread like wildfire, leaving a trail of shock and disbelief in its wake. The headlines screamed of tragedy, and the airwaves were filled with the somber tones of newscasters delivering the grim news. It was a story that no one wanted to believe, yet it was all too real. The joy of Halloween was instantly extinguished, replaced by a chilling fear that gripped the community. Children, who had been laughing and running from house to house, now clung to their parents, their costumes a stark contrast to the fear in their eyes. The decorations that once brought joy now seemed to mock the sorrow that had settled over the town. Parents frantically checked their own children's candy bags, their worst nightmares seeming to come true. Every wrapper was scrutinized, every piece of candy a potential threat. The trust that had once been a given in this close-knit community was now shattered, replaced by a pervasive sense of dread. However, as the initial shock subsided, whispers of suspicion began to circulate. Neighbors who had once shared friendly conversations over fences now exchanged wary glances. The sense of unity that had defined the community was eroding, replaced by a growing sense of mistrust and unease. O'Brien's behavior in the aftermath of the tragedy seemed strangely detached. While others wept openly, he stood apart, his expression unreadable. It was as if he was a spectator at his own son's funeral rather than a grieving father. His demeanor raised eyebrows and fueled the growing suspicions. His grief felt performative, lacking the raw, visceral agony of a parent who had just lost a child. The tears seemed forced, the sorrow rehearsed. People began to talk, their whispers growing louder with each passing day. The facade of grief he presented was cracking, revealing something far more sinister beneath. The police investigation, initially focused on finding a random killer targeting children, soon turned its attention to the unsettling behavior of the grieving father. Detectives pored over every detail, every interaction, looking for clues that might explain the incongruity of his actions. The community watched with bated breath, the shadows of suspicion growing ever darker. Section 5. The Unravelling of a Twisted Mind. The investigation revealed the chilling truth behind Timothy's death. Police discovered the untouched poisoned pixie sticks in Timothy's Halloween bag. This crucial piece of evidence, coupled with O'Brien's odd behavior and financial troubles, painted a damning picture. O'Bryan had become the prime suspect in his own son's murder. Further investigation revealed that O'Bryan had recently taken out large life insurance policies on both his children. He was deeply in debt, and the insurance payouts seemed to be his only way out. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place, revealing a horrifying picture of greed, desperation, and a complete disregard for human life. Section 6. Justice for Timothy, the Trial and Conviction. The trial of Ronald Clark O'Bryan sent shockwaves throughout the nation. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence against him. The cyanide in the pixie sticks, the life insurance policies, and witness testimonies that exposed his erratic behavior and financial woes. Throughout the trial, O'Bryan maintained his innocence, but the jury saw through his facade. The weight of the evidence was overwhelming. The jury found Ronald Clark O'Bryan guilty of capital murder. He was sentenced to death. The court had spoken, delivering justice for Timothy and offering a sliver of solace to a community forever scarred by his heinous act. Section 7. The Shadow of Fear, Halloween Transformed. The case of Ronald Clark O'Bryan cast a long shadow over Halloween celebrations. It marked a turning point in how people viewed the holiday, forever associating it with a chilling sense of vulnerability and fear. The carefree joy of trick-or-treating was tainted with suspicion. Parents became wary, carefully inspecting their children's candy for any signs of tampering. Hospitals offered free x-rays of Halloween hauls, a stark reminder of the potential dangers lurking beneath the surface of seemingly innocent treats. The era of unquestioning trust in the generosity of strangers was over. Section 8. The Monster Behind the Mask. Ronald Clark O'Bryan died by lethal injection on March 31, 1984. His execution a stark reminder of the consequences of his horrific actions. He went to his death proclaiming his innocence, but the world saw him for what he truly was, a monster who used the guise of Halloween to mask his sinister intentions. The Candyman, as he became known, remains one of the most chilling figures in criminal history. His story serves as a stark reminder that evil can lurk beneath the most unassuming facades, even within the supposed sanctity of one's own home. Section 9. Remembering Timothy, a legacy of loss. Though decades have passed, the memory of Timothy O'Bryan and the chilling crime that took his life continue to resonate. His story serves as a tragic reminder of the vulnerability of innocence and the devastating consequences of greed and betrayal. His legacy lives on, not in the shadow of his father's horrific act, but in the hearts of those who remember him as a bright, loving child whose life was tragically cut short. The Halloween murders of 1974 remain a haunting reminder that even in the midst of celebration, darkness can lurk, and the monsters we fear are sometimes the ones we trust the most.